Virginia, 2024. A woman sat at her kitchen table writing a letter. Her name was Sarah. She was 42 years old. Her husband, David, was upstairs with their 12-year-old son, Marcus. She could hear them laughing. Marcus was describing something, probably a video game or a movie or something he'd seen at school. And David was listening, the way he always did, completely focused, completely present. Sarah smiled, wrote the first line. To whoever finds this letter, probably Marcus after we're gone, I need you to know something about your father that he'll never tell you himself. About what he lost. About what he found. And about how the man who can't see became the one who sees everything. She paused, looked at the ceiling, could still hear them laughing. And then she kept writing. Because this story needed to be told, needed to be remembered, needed to be understood. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm writing this in 2024. Your father, David Mitchell, is upstairs with you right now, Marcus. You're 12 years old, and you have no idea how extraordinary what you two have is. But I do, because I've watched it for 12 years. Watched your father learn to be a dad without ever seeing your face. Watched you grow up with a father who knows you better than any parent I've ever met. Watch both of you create something that most people with perfect vision, never achieve. Let me tell you the story. The whole story. Because you deserve to know what it cost and what it became. Your father and I met in 2009. He was 23. I was 21. He was in the Army, Infantry, 3rd Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne. We met at a coffee shop near Fort Campbell. He was on leave. I was in nursing school. He was beautiful. I know you're reading this and groaning. Mom, gross. But it's true. He had these eyes, deep brown, the kind that looked right into you, the kind that made you feel like he actually saw you, not just looked at you. We fell in love fast. Too fast, probably. But when someone's deploying to Afghanistan in 2 months, you don't have time to take it slow. We got married 3 weeks before he shipped out. December 2009. I was 21 years old, a brand new Army wife, terrified out of my mind that I'd married someone I barely knew and might never see again. He deployed to Kandahar province in January 2010. Infantry, foot patrols, IED detection, the most dangerous job in the most dangerous place. We talked on Skype when we could. He'd tell me about the guys in his unit, the heat, the dust, the kids who'd wave at them on patrol. He never talked about the danger, never told me how many close calls they'd had. That's how soldiers protect their families, by lying about how scared they are. March 15th, 2010. I got the call. Mrs. Mitchell, your husband has been injured in combat. He's alive. He's stable. But he's being medevaxed to Landstuhl, Germany. You need to get on a plane. They wouldn't tell me more. Just that he was alive. I flew to Germany, spent 14 hours on a military transport thinking he'd lost a leg or an arm or was paralyzed. Preparing myself for whatever version of David would be waiting. I wasn't prepared for what I found. He was in a hospital bed, bandages covering his entire head, face completely wrapped except for his mouth and nose, machines everywhere. But he was alive, breathing, conscious. I walked in. David, his head turned toward my voice. Sarah, you're here. Of course I'm here. What happened? He was quiet for a moment. IED, we were on patrol, stepped on a pressure plate. I was lucky. My gunner died. I just lost my eyes. Just lost my eyes. Like it was nothing. Like it was a minor inconvenience. What do you mean, lost your eyes? I'm blind, Sarah. Both eyes. Too damaged to save. They're going to remove them when the swelling goes down. I couldn't breathe, couldn't process. My 23-year-old husband, who'd been beautiful, who'd had those eyes that saw everything, was blind. Permanently. Forever. Okay, I said. Because what else do you say? Sarah, I understand if you want out. We've been married 3 months. You didn't sign up for this. Didn't sign up for a blind husband who can't work, can't drive, can't even see your face. I'll understand if you leave." I walked to the bed, took his hand. "David Mitchell, I married you, not your eyes, not your job. You, and you're still you. So shut up about me leaving." He cried. First time I ever heard him cry. "I can't see you anymore. Can't see your face. Can't see anything. Then I'll describe everything to you. Every single day for the rest of our lives." And that's what I did. We came home in May 2010. David was medically retired from the Army, 23 years old with a Purple Heart, a pension, and no eyes. The VA set us up with resources, orientation and mobility training, screen readers, a service dog named Atlas, support groups for blinded veterans. But none of that helped with the grief. David was angry, not at me, not at the Army, at the universe, at God, at the randomness of stepping on one patch of dirt instead of another and having it cost him his vision forever. "I was supposed to see the world," he said one night. "Supposed to see my kids, supposed to see my life, and now I'm going to spend the next 60 years in darkness." "You're going to spend the next 60 years with me," I said, "and I'll be your eyes." "It's not the same." "I know. But it's what we have. We struggled. I won't lie and pretend it was easy. It wasn't. He was depressed. I was overwhelmed. We were both 23 years old trying to figure out how to build a life around blindness and PTSD and survivor's guilt. But we figured it out. Slowly, day by day. And then, in 2011, I got pregnant. Marcus, you were born February 14th, 2012. Valentine's Day. 7 pounds, 6 ounces, full head of dark hair. Your father's nose. My eyes. Though he'd never know that. The nurses brought you to me. I held you, counted your fingers and toes, cried because you were perfect and healthy and here. Then I looked at David. He was sitting in the chair next to the bed, head tilted toward the sound of your crying, hands gripping the armrests. "David, you want to hold your son?" What if I drop him?" "You won't drop him. Come here." The nurse helped him stand, guided him to the bed. I placed you in his arms, and I watched your father hold his son for the first time. He couldn't see you. Couldn't see your face, your hair, your tiny, perfect fingers. But he held you like you were the most precious thing in the universe. "Sarah, describe him. Please." So I did. "He has dark hair." "Lots of it. Your nose, my eyes, they're blue. He's looking at you right now, staring right at your face like he's trying to figure you out." Can I touch his face?" "Of course." David's hand moved carefully. Found your head, your tiny face. His fingers, so gentle, traced your features, your forehead, your closed eyes, your nose, your mouth. He cried, "He's real. He's perfect. He's yours. But I can't see him. Can't see my own son." And that's when I realized this was going to be your father's struggle for the rest of your life. Loving someone he'd never seen, raising a child in a world he couldn't perceive visually. But then you did something that changed everything. You were 3 days old. David was holding you, and you reached up, that instinctive baby grab, and touched his face, your tiny hand on his cheek. David froze. "What's he doing?" "He's touching your face, exploring you, just like I explored his." And I saw it click in his mind. You couldn't see him either, not really. Not yet. You were 3 days old. Your vision was blurry. You were learning your father the same way he was learning you. Through touch. "Sarah," David said quietly, "maybe we'll figure this out together. Me and him. 2 people learning to see without eyes." And that's exactly what happened. For the first year, Marcus, you didn't know your father was different. All babies are essentially blind at birth. Vision develops slowly. And by the time yours developed fully, you'd already learned that Dad experienced the world differently than Mom. Mom described things. Dad touched things. Mom pointed at objects. Dad asked you to bring objects to him. Mom watched you play. Dad listened to you play and asked questions. You adapted to him. He adapted to you. And somehow, it worked. The touching became ritual. Every morning when David got you out of your crib, he'd trace your face, forehead, eyes, nose, cheeks, chin, mapping the changes, learning how you were growing. "He's getting bigger," David would say, amazed. "His face is changing. His cheekbones are more defined." "How can you tell?" "I can feel it. Here, the distance between his eyes and his chin. It's longer than last month. He's growing, and he was right, always right." Your father tracked your growth through his fingertips better than I tracked it with my eyes. When you started talking, everything changed again. Most parents teach their kids by showing. "Look at this. See that." Visual learning. David couldn't do that. So he taught you through description and touch. "Marcus, feel this. This is a baseball. It's round. It has stitches, feel them. Those are called seams. Now, when we throw it, the seams make it move through the air in certain ways." He taught you shapes by having you close your eyes and identify objects by touch. He taught you colors by association. Blue is cold, like ice. Red is hot, like fire. He taught you spatial awareness by walking with you, counting steps, describing distances. The couch is 10 steps from the kitchen. The front door is 15 steps from your bedroom. If you know the distances, you always know where you are. You learn to describe everything to him. And I mean everything. "Dad, there's a bird outside. It's black with a red spot on its wing." "That's a red-winged blackbird." "Male. They're territorial." "What's he doing?" "Sitting on the fence, singing." "Can you mimic the sound?" And you'd whistle, trying to copy the bird. And David would laugh. "Perfect. That's exactly right." You became his eyes, voluntarily, joyfully. Not because you had to, but because you wanted to share the world with him. The touching never stopped. Every day, multiple times a day, David would trace your face. When you woke up, "Good morning, buddy. Let me see how you look today." Before school, "Hold still," making sure you're presentable. After school, "How was your day?" "Let me see your face. Did you smile today?" "Yes, I can tell. Your smile muscles are tired." Before bed, "Good night, son. Let me see you one more time." To anyone watching, it might have looked strange, a grown man constantly touching his child's face. But it wasn't strange. It was love. It was a father learning his son the only way he could. And you never complained, never pulled away, never acted embarrassed. Even when you got older, 7, 8, 9 years old, when most boys start thinking their parents are uncool, you still let your father touch your face. Because you understood. Somehow, even as a child, you understood that this was how your dad saw you. I'll never forget the day you figured out that other dads were different. You were 6 years old. First grade. You came home from school and asked me, "Mom, why doesn't Tommy's dad touch his face?" "What do you mean?" "At pickup today, Tommy's dad just looked at him and said hi. He didn't touch his face." "How does he know what Tommy looks like if he doesn't touch his face?" I smiled, tried not to cry. "Honey, most people see with their eyes. They don't need to touch faces because they can see faces. But Dad can't see." "Right. So Dad sees with his hands." You thought about this. "So Dad sees me differently than you see me?" "Yes." "Does he see me better or worse?" And that's when I realized you were asking something profound. Not, is Dad disabled, but does Dad's way of seeing have value? "Your dad sees you differently," I said carefully. "Not better or worse. Different. He knows things about your face that I don't know, can feel changes I can't see." "Like what?" "Like when you're about to get sick. He can feel it in your face before you show symptoms, or when you're lying about being okay. He feels the tension in your jaw." You nodded. "Yeah, Dad always knows." because he pays attention differently. He has to, and that makes him very, very good at seeing who you really are. You smiled. So Dad has a superpower. Yes, your dad has a superpower. Last year, Marcus, you turned 11. You're not a little kid anymore. You're growing fast. Your voice is changing. You're becoming a young man, and your father maps every change. Last month, I watched you two in the living room. You just gotten home from school. David called you over. Marcus, come here. Let me see you. You walked over, stood in front of him, automatic, routine. You've done this 10,000 times. David's hands came up, traced your face, forehead, eyes, nose, cheeks, chin, jawline. He smiled. You're getting taller. Your face is longer. And wait, he touched your upper lip. Are you growing facial hair? You laughed. Maybe, like 3 hairs. 3 hairs is the start of a mustache. You're growing up. Dad, you can't even see me. How do you know I'm growing up? And that's when you said it. The thing that made me leave the room to cry. Dad, you see me better than anyone. David froze. What? You see me better than anyone. Mom looks at me and sees what I look like. You touch my face and see who I am. It's different. It's better. Marcus, I mean it, Dad. You know when I'm sad before I even say anything. You know when I'm lying. You know when something's wrong at school. You know me, actually know me, because you can't get distracted by what I look like. You just see me. David pulled you into a hug. You're my son. Of course I see you. But you do it without eyes. That's pretty cool, Dad. Marcus, when you read this someday, I want you to understand what those words meant to your father. For 12 years, he's lived with the fear that he's not enough, that being a blind father means he's failing you, that you deserve a dad who can see you, watch you, do all the things sighted fathers do. He's never said this out loud. But I know. I see it in the way he asks me constantly, did I miss anything? What did his face look like when he said that? Was he smiling or was he faking it? He's terrified he's missing your childhood because he can't see it. But you told him the truth. He's not missing anything. He's seeing everything that matters. He might not know what color shirt you wore today, but he knows when you're anxious, when you're excited, when you're hiding something, when you need him. He sees you in ways I don't, in ways nobody else does. And you know it. You've always known it. Last week, we went to your school for parent-teacher conferences. Your teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, pulled us aside. I wanted to tell you something about Marcus. We had an activity where students described their role models. Marcus wrote about his dad. She handed us the paper. I read it out loud to David. My role model is my dad. He can't see because he got hurt in the war before I was born. But he sees me better than anyone. Every day he touches my face to see how I look. He knows when I'm sad just by feeling my face. He knows when I'm lying. He knows everything about me because he pays attention. Most dads look at their kids but don't really see them. My dad can't look at me but really sees me. I want to be like that. I want to really see people. David cried, right there in the classroom. Didn't even try to hide it. Mrs. Rodriguez smiled. Mr. Mitchell, I've taught for 20 years. I've never seen a student write about their parent with that level of understanding and admiration. Whatever you're doing it right. I'm just trying, David said. Just trying to be a good father even though I can't see him. You don't need to see him, she said. You already see him better than most parents ever will. So Marcus, when you find this letter someday, probably after your dad and I are gone, I want you to know. Your father lost his eyes in Afghanistan, lost his vision, lost his ability to see the world the way most people do. But he never lost his ability to see you. Every single day for 12 years, he's mapped your face with his hands, learned your features, tracked your growth, memorized every detail. He knows you better than I know you, better than anyone knows you, because he can't be distracted by appearances, Can't make assumptions based on what you look like, has to truly pay attention, has to truly see, and you figured that out at 11 years old. Figured out that your blind father sees you better than anyone. That's not tragedy. That's not disability. That's love, pure, focused, undistracted. Your father gave up his eyes for his country, but he gained something most fathers never have, the ability to truly, completely, wholly see his son. Not with eyes, with hands, with attention, with love. And Marcus, my beautiful boy, you've given him something too, the understanding that he's enough, that being a blind father doesn't mean being a lesser father. It just means being a different father. Maybe even a better father in ways that matter most. So when people ask you about growing up with a blind dad, don't pity him. Don't apologize for him. Tell them the truth. Your dad sees you better than anyone. And that's exactly what a father should do. With all my love, Mom P.S. David, if you're having this letter read to you by Marcus or by a screen reader, know this. You've been an incredible father. You were terrified you weren't enough. You were wrong. You've been more than enough. You've been everything. Virginia, 2024. Sarah folded the letter, put it in an envelope, marked it, "For Marcus, open when you're ready." Upstairs, she could still hear laughing. David and Marcus, father and son. Two people who'd figured out how to see each other without eyes. And Sarah smiled. Because some losses turn into gifts, some disabilities turn into superpowers, and some fathers who can't see become the ones who see everything. Subscribe for more stories of love that transcend sight, fathers who redefine strength, and families who turn loss into something beautiful.